On the line, Karl from Nothing Sacred. Karl, thanks for joining me.
Hi Mel, good to talk to you again.
It's great to have you on. Now, we've got some exciting news, but first we'll launch into the ancient history. Tell me what you can remember about the formation of Nothing Sacred, the early days. Let's go.
Yeah, look, it goes all the way back. I think we started in like Sham's living room when I think he was 14, Sham the drummer, and we were jamming in his living room in our very first version with a couple of guitarists who are no longer, left us pretty early on. But we really became Nothing Sacred in about 83 when we found Wooly and Buddy, the two guitarists, and we really launched into it, got really stuck into it in probably early 83, mid 83. We played a lot of gigs, and then moved on to recording. Got that first EP ready sometime in 84, I think. But yeah, that was just a really good time back then. It feels like it went on forever. It's hard to believe now that period was only sort of 18 months to 24 months, but it feels like it went on for a decade. There was just so much happening back then. Gigs every night, bands to play with, there were tours. There was just so much going on.
It was a great time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was good. We went to Adelaide in about 86, I think, and then 87. We did Sydney in 85 and 86. Plenty of gigs in Melbourne. I don't know how many times we played in Melbourne, but then recorded the album and everything. So we compressed a hell of a lot into about 2.5 years, really.
Yeah. Now, a local Australian band, if you like, recording an album back in those days, that was a big deal. How did you go about it?
Well, the EP that we did, we self-financed, self-released that ourselves. So we actually put up a lot of money for those days. I think it cost us about $8,000 or $9,000.
Yeah, that's a huge amount back then.
Yeah, back then it was a fair amount of money just on 4 tracks, and that was pretty good. We're pretty happy with that. Even today, the quality's not too bad. But the album, by the time we got around to doing the album, we weren't as rich. So we rushed that a lot more. So again, we self-financed the recording, but we had a deal with Cleopatra Records to do the release. So I think they did 1,000, 500 or 1,000 pressing, and they released it around the world. They shipped it to Europe and stuff. So they did all of that. We only had to pay for the recording. But because we were on a tighter budget and we were doing a lot more songs, we did 13 tracks, I think, during the recording. The quality's, it wasn't what we would hope for because we were rushing.
What happened after the album?
Well, basically, around the same time as we're doing the album, we toured Sydney with Tyrus. And so we got to know, we'd already played with Tyrus a few times at Matter for Melbourne and stuff. We got to know Pete Hobbs pretty well. And shortly after that, he asked Sham, myself, and Wooly if we'd help him record a demo. He wanted to launch this new project called Angel of Death that he's been working on. For whatever reason, I'm not sure why, he didn't want to use Tyrus to do the recordings. So he got us in to record the 4-track or 5-track demo, whatever it was, which he sent off to Germany. And in response to that, he got a recording contract, got offered a chance to go to Germany and record, and he asked us to go with him, and Wooly jumped at the chance, and Sham and I at the time thought, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but we thought at the time that we were better off sticking with what we were doing. No disrespect to Pete, but just because we'd been working on our own stuff and we'd done the album and whatever. So we kind of lost momentum, basically. Wooly took off to go with Pete and then decided to stick with Pete because things were really developing there. It was going really well. So we had to find a new guitarist. We got George, who played with Taramis for a little while. But then George was also busy with Taramis and other things. So he couldn't stay permanently. So we found 2 brand new guitarists. And by the time we found the guitarists, found the guys we wanted, rehearsed, wrote some new stuff, we just lost momentum. So unfortunately, it was just really bad timing, I guess. We worked hard to get the album ready, but then once it was finally ready for release, the band was kind of not disintegrating, but certainly lost momentum. We lost our way for a little while.
And what time was this? What year are we talking there?
That That was probably 87 leading into 88. We really, it was a wasted year. And the album, the one thing you need to do with an album is, especially back then, it was you got to promote it, you got to run with it once you've got it. But unfortunately, by the time the album was out, finished, pressed, and released, the band was sort of almost, in a state of suspension. So we couldn't really do much. And by the time we had the new guitarists on board, and we got that was Terry and Richard, and we wrote a few songs with them and everything. The album had already been done for over a year, and so they were kind of keen to record some of their own stuff. So we actually started recording another album. So heading into 89, we actually headed back to the studio again, and then we never finished those recordings. We've got recordings, we got most of it done, but we never got it finished. It never got released. So that became the great unreleased album, which to this day remains largely unreleased.
So what's happened in the meantime? Life got in the way?
Yeah, I think so. It's really hard to remember exactly what happened. I know for myself, I got a day job and everything like that. So, I was earning money, and I think other people, it was everything. Everyone's going down the whole families and work and everything else road. And Sham got interested in it, started working with a couple of other bands, and he moved to Adelaide for a short while. He was in Adelaide. I think he was playing with, was it Grungen or Basket Case or something? There's a couple of names.
Case, I reckon it was.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, I think it was. He was sort of jamming or playing with them and stuff. So he sort of drifted to Adelaide for a little while, and so we just ended this period where we didn't officially end or break up or anything. We just stopped doing stuff, and it sort of surprised all of us that period ended up lasting probably close to 15 years. We just kept running into each other at gigs and talking about maybe doing this or that, but it just never coalesced into anybody actually doing anything until early 2012, really, which is that's probably nearly 20 years.
Yeah. All right. So we're in 2012. What happened then? What changed?
To be honest, I don't know why it changed, but I think we just all crossed paths again, and sort of we had the opportunity. Johnny Giles used to be the guitarist from Blackjack. He was putting together a series of gigs just with mates and people getting up and having a jam and whatever. And he kind of said, "Why don't you guys come along and just jump in?" And I think it actually was Ross from Iron Drive. It was going to be his 50th birthday or something like that. It was some occasion anyway. And so we just thought, okay, yeah, all right, we will. Let's give it a go. So we just jammed for a month or two. And as it turned out, Buddy, the original guitarist, moved to Atlanta, Georgia, a decade ago. So he was out of the mix. I mean, I still keep in touch with him now and then, but he wasn't coming back to Australia just to do a one-off party gig.
Yeah.
So we got Ross, actually, from Iron Drive. We thought, we'll get Ross to fill in as the second guitarist, and we got Wooly back, because he'd been jamming with his own band. So we got him back and for the gig, and thought, well, that'll go okay. And in the end, Wooly couldn't make the gig, so we played it with just Ross as a four-piece. So that was kind of weird. But probably just got us enough interested because it went well enough. We liked it. People didn't seem to hate it. So we decided to actually, make more of an effort. So Wooly just wasn't available, just wasn't going to work out. So we got George back. So we actually ran with George and Ross for a while. And we played some gigs in 2013, 2014. And then we headed to Japan in 2015. I had the opportunity to go there, so we thought we'll take it. Just jump at it, do something we haven't done. That's always a good thing. And that kind of leads us up to roughly now. We did the 2017, we did the Metal from Melbourne gig, because Sham was basically involved as the one of the promoter organisers. Him and Rob were the two guys that really pulled it all together. And they both ended up playing in multiple bands on the night, as it turned out. But so we did that gig in 2017, and then we've just sort of entered another period of drifting.
Hiatus?
Yeah, we had a couple of lineup issues again. We'd been using a new singer, Chris. in 2015 and 2016. And it was good, but it just wasn't gelling the way we'd hoped it was. And we were trying to record. We've been recording now for about 2.5 years, 3 years even. But it just wasn't coming together the way we wanted it to. So we sort of mutually agreed that we'd move on from that. So Chris drifted away, and then I guess Ross, he'd been playing guitar, but he was always if you know Ross, he's like the ever ready bunny. he's in perpetual motion. He never stops. He's always doing 100 things.
I do know Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so damn hard to pin him down. So in the end, we just kind of decided that he needed to go do off some of the things he was doing. Eindrive had been sort of back and kicking again, and he needed to finish a few things he wanted to do. So we've actually now lined up. We've got a new singer, a new guitarist, so we're back.
Right. What is the lineup these days?
The lineup is Sham on drums and me on bass. So we're sort of the core that's been in every lineup. We've got George, who has been in the band on 3 different occasions over the years, and he would be the longest serving guitarist of anyone if you added it all up now. So he really is a foundation member in many ways, or a core member. And then we've got the 2 new guys. We've got James on vocals, and we've got Stu on guitar. Stu used to play for a Melbourne band called Captain Trips.
James vocals, Stuart on guitar, George on guitar, and you and Sham. Righto. I do know that Chris, organiser of Churches of Steel, has been wanting to get you guys over here for a while. Now, this time he actually managed it. And we've got a massive lineup, of course, Saturday, February 8th at Westside Massive. That's down at Royal Park there. Nothing Sacred, coming over to Adelaide for the first time since, 1988?
It's either 87 or 88. I was Chris wanted me to confirm exactly how long it's been, and I really tried hard to...
I can tell you right now, early 88, because it's Big Bash, the Big Bash at the Norwood Town Hall.
We should have asked you, Mel. I should have known you'd know. It's good that you're a historian, Mel.
So we're looking forward to this. I bet you guys are too.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. It's going to be really good. I mean, we've been jamming... We've been the second half of this year, 2019. I forget we're in 2020 now. The second half of 2019, we've been jamming a lot, but also recording. We've come to an arrangement with Rue Morgue Records. We've given them a track that's going to be on their compilation, 12-inch vinyl, which is due out. I think they're hoping now for like a March release. I think is the schedule they're looking at. So we've got the track that's ready and been submitted to them. That's all done. And then we're also doing a single through them as well. So we've got the A side 98% ready, and we're just working on the B side now. We've got a couple of tracks. We're just trying to think which one we're going to finish off and get ready for that one. So we hope to have that single ready for early in 2020. So maybe March, April.
These are new tracks? Like unreleased tracks?
Oh, they're definitely unreleased tracks, yeah. One of them is one of the tracks from the 89 recording sessions. We dusted that one off and re-recorded it, so it's a total new recording, but it's a track from 89. And the other one, the one that's going to be the single at the moment, is a totally new track. So, and we just got to pick a third track, which the band, it's not a bad debate. It's the band's a bit split at the moment on which way we want to go. We've got a number of different tracks with different feels, so we're just trying to figure out which one we think will suit best, and then we're going to finish that off. So hopefully that's all going to happen just after we get back from Adelaide. We'll spend the next couple of weeks after that finishing off that recording, and so we should have a single out probably by April, I guess. It's a little hard to be too tight with the timing.
All right, Karl from Nothing Sacred, absolutely great talking to you and reminiscing about the old times. And we're going to do plenty of that again Saturday, February 8 at Churches of Steel Festival number 4. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to see us.
We can't wait to be there. We are going to kick some ass. It's been too long.